Is it this one? Yes, it is.
Where's the third tier 2 driver?
That would be Asseldor.
I'm about to say, because I'm looking down the list and I see obviously Viking, BX, and Owen. That's just the common sense.
Yeah.
Claus, Deco, and Hixie. And then you've got Jeddah, Spin, and O'Leary. And then D-Dubs and Monken because Quackhouse isn't here. And I just didn't see who the other one was between Perry and Dominic.
Yeah, Asseldor. And then Higgsy needs to get put into his position as well.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah.
I've seen it. I've also I assume that we've got on a different note for esports. I see we've got CA Cavar on
Yes,
saying yes then because they've joined the server, haven't they?
Yep. So that's the team captain, and
Yeah.
Rich is the team captain for the other one,
BSR.
BSR.
Yeah.
So
That's Rick the Pegasus though. either be
yeah,
BSR driver.
he did some good races, especially Austria. Austria sticks out.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got
So
8
should
now,
we
then.
get started anyway?
Yeah, I think we.
How many people are
We're
on?
just Dassador. And then people joining the stream.
Oh, right, our voices are working.
I hope so.
Yeah. Welcome to a race that is always really entertaining. The Race of Champions. It is our kind of perfect sign-off to a season, celebrating all of the strongest drivers across every single tier. So we've got basically 3 drivers from each tier, the best, so basically the top 3 from tier 5, top 3 from tier 4, top 3 from tier 3, 2 and 1. The format is a 1 hour race, so that's 38 laps, and we will be mandating all 3 tyres, so it'll be interesting on time 6 tyre wear how the drivers are going to basically calculate this, because the softs won't last very long and hards are a lot more viable now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Strategy is just going to be one of those that is, well, we have no idea. Usually we get to a point where we've done these comps and we have maybe a small idea of what's going on, where we've been doing esports all year, all season. We know what's going on there. We've done the season comms on a Monday. We know what's going on because we raced those races. We have absolutely no idea what's going on here.
No. All we know is that there's been an update and there's 6 Porsches on the grid today out of the 14 cars that we've got. So that's absolutely mental. And this Porsche is one of the best cars on the grid, if not the best by quite a margin. So expecting at least one Porsche on the podium. We got the pole sitter Munken in the Porsche, so he finished P3 in the championship, and D-Dubs in P2. He actually won. No Quackhouse tonight. He couldn't get back home in time, so there's only 2 from tier 5. Then we got O'Leary in the Vantage, which is a car that everyone kind of accepts is one of the cars that have gone down in the rankings since the update. Is really not been kind. Then we got Spin, who was super quick in tier 4, but finished up as the runner-up in the Porsche to his teammate Jezza, who actually won the championship without a single race win. So that's the first time that's ever happened in ALR. Then we have Deco. Well, it should be Higgsy. Higgsy just needs to be put into position, so he's going to be starting in P6. He's another Porsche driver. And then Deco in the Lexus, who was runner-up to Claus in the AMG. The AMG will be interesting. It still seems pretty quick, but a bit more difficult to handle nowadays. And then in Tier 2, we got Asseldor in the Porsche again. He's in 9th. Excuse me. Nominic in P10 in the Corvette, which seems to be still pretty fast on the straights, but the tires seem to be wearing pretty quickly. And then Perry, who for some reason is in the Porsche, he needs to get out of that and get back in the Beetle.
He's trying to fool someone. He's trying to fool someone.
So I understand why he wants to be in the Porsche, because the Beetle is not very good anymore. He's going to get overtaken a lot on the straight, so we'll have to watch out for that on the opening laps. Then we got in P12, it's Owen, and then 13th is BX Royal in the Gen X, and in pole position it is Viking in the Jag. So that is your grid. Viking starting all the way at the back. Oh my god, BX has said starting soon.
I have to point it out. I have to point it out. Otherwise, this is...
Come on.
There you go.
He's still in it. He's still in it. I bet he doesn't even realise as well. This is just
Barry,
completely oblivious.
Barry, get out the Porsche.
Right, BX is unreadied.
Evening.
He's changing. He's changing his car now.
Yeah, he's been caught out. He tried it. He tried it.
There we go. He's got a new livery for tonight. It's a shiny Heracross livery, because he is obviously our Tier 2 champion. So yeah, maybe it'll bring him luck. Maybe he'll finish P14. We'll have to wait and see. But it looks like we're starting now.
Yeah, we're gonna get in. All right, let's have a look at this then. As for just the League of Aliens, this is. No, this is well, we've got 3 aliens in this lobby. The 1, 2, 3, I believe, from Tier 1 this season.
Yep.
Unfortunately, there's a few of those. There's a few. Well, fortunately for the league, there's a few of the really fast guys joining back next season. So
Yes.
we might see a lot of shake-up.
Big shake up in the tiers, but the race is about to start now. So 4 lights on, 5 lights on. And it's lights out, away we go at the Race of Champions. Everyone getting a fairly even start, because it's mostly Porsches at the front, apart from D-Dubs in the AMG. It looks like he's got P1. O'Leary getting a great start in the Aston Martin, going up to P2 as well. But it looks like he's been pushed off track. He's gone wide into turn 2. This isn't clean at all. There was a yellow car falling back as well. Deco up to P6, Claws up to P7 after a really messy start. It's been nearly spinning on lap 1. I expected to see it at some point today, but not quite that early. O'Leary down into P6 now. D-Dubs and Munkin still in the top 2 for the Tier 5 drivers, and Jez is the Tier 4 champion, has worked his way up into 3rd now. Assador up into 6th as well.
Yeah, and well, I've just spent the last 2.5 hours lamenting the fact that Spin could not stop spinning, and he's got his span on lap 1. That's incredible. That's one way to start the Joint Race of Champions, that's for sure. And he's staring at the back of a Porsche, which he has been all season as well.
Yeah, Jez has got the run on Munkin right now. He's got the inside line for the following corner as well. So Jez should be able to get this position into the hairpin at the end. It looks like Spin's going to try and get a position as well. Nominic putting something in the chat, and potentially has left the lobby as well. I'm not quite sure. No, he hasn't. But yeah, it sounds like he's being taken out. Munkin, meanwhile, muscled down into 4th. Deco up into 5th, and Assador still in 6th place. So a good start for both of these drivers.
Yeah, it looked like it was absolute carnage off the start here, and we've had a big shake-up in the grid already. There's a couple of Tier 4 guys already destroying the Tier 5 guys, and that, well, obviously we expected to happen. We also always expect the big guys in the bigger tiers to start making their way through, whether it be quickly or slowly, just like Viking there on the inside, getting past Deco and made it look incredibly easy.
Yeah, Viking taking 8 positions in 1 lap, and it'd make that 9 because he's just about to overtake Astor on the outside here if he's brave enough into this corner. Going side by side through it, Astor backs out a little bit more and Viking gets the position. He's up to 4th already.
Yeah, and
make that 3rd.
Yeah, you're right. It is about to be 3rd. Monken coming in though. That looked like Monken lagging a little bit, and Viking is going to make him pay at the end there on the inside. Oh, the Assador really just clears out Viking!
Yeah, that wasn't great.
That was about as clear as you're ever going to get. That's just Assador straight into the back of Viking. I don't know if Assador was hit, But that's
Perry
about
up into
definitely.
P3 now after all that. Insane opening lap or two from Perry, who was not practicing. He was making this livery before the race, but it seems to not have affected him too much. So he's in a great position as he's on the medium tyres as well, so he can go really long on this stint. And he's got a tier 5 driver backing Viking Dog up still on this lap.
Yeah, but Viking now on the inside of Monken, and again, Viking is going to be able to go through without much of an issue. And this time, he doesn't have a car behind him to plow him into a wall. So Perry might definitely be under fire here in the next half a lap or so. Viking has started. Well, he's continued where he started. Realistically, he's obviously won tier 1, won that handsomely, won that by the time he even reached Autopolis, and now he's gonna be in cruise control of this race by the looks of things.
He's completely caught up to Perry, and that Jag has better straight line speed. Viking should be able to get a move done on this straight with the slipstream coming up. I'd be very surprised if he didn't. Perry's probably going to go defensive, is he? Or is he not going to fight it? Actually, he stayed pretty well, decently ahead. Only 0.2 as we approach the next corner, the gap between the two of them. So, actually, the Beetle's not that bad.
If I was Perry, I would have been fighting it 100% because he's got to get used to it. He is in this position where he's in tier 1 next season, regardless of what goes on. He's the champion of tier 2, so he has to be in tier 1 for a season. That's how this works. And so he's got to get used to fighting Viking. He's got to get used to fighting VX. There is no option here. He might as well start now.
Yep, absolutely. The only two drivers guaranteed to be in tier 1 are these two because they are the champions of tier 1 and 2. Now battling for the final spot on the podium. Viking might have a run now. He's still 0.4 behind though, but this is a much longer straight, this back straight, so he might be able to have a sniff at the end of it. He's really closing in quickly now.
I was about to say, that camera angle made him look a lot closer than he was.
And it looks like he's going to go for it under braking, and there's a bit of contact. Perry going wide, Viking sliding through the corner, getting the move done. A little bit of argy-bargy there.
I absolutely hate that term. It's just someone. I don't know whether or not Perry turning it over Viking on. Too great. Don't know if the camera
Did you
bounced.
see that as well?
Yeah, I don't know if the camera bounced there or whatever that was. But that was just.
No, it looks like we're back now anyway. I think.
I'd hope so. But yeah, Viking's cleared Perry, and well, quite frankly, as soon as Viking clears Perry, he's got.
Oh, BX Royal in the pits, by the way. He was on hard tyres and he's come into the pit lane.
You are right. Also, Spinners at the back.
Oh, and O'Leary and Claus and Nomnik as well. It's
well, Nomnik was the yellow car we saw drop back.
Ah, yes, it was. It's not like we've been racing it all season. Just didn't notice until 4 laps later.
Also, I don't think his livery has loaded up because I'm pretty sure his livery is meant to be purple and yellow.
That's true.
Probably
That's
where
why
the
we didn't
confusion.
notice it was him.
Yeah. BX is on the medium tyres now. He's going to come out pretty much directly in front of O'Leary here, I think. Yeah. Spin at the back as well has obviously had a few spins in this race.
Jez has taken the lead of the race, by the way. He's just ahead of D-Dubs. So D-Dubs doing pretty well in this opening stint, also on the medium tyres. So he's getting caught up pretty quickly by Viking, but he's still only 0.7 off the lead of the race and only behind a different champion of a higher tier. So he's doing pretty well so far in this AMG.
Yeah, it's it's definitely not a good car in comparison to the Porsche, where we're in Porsche land essentially in this race because there's a half dozen of them out of the 14, and yeah, the Merc is going to have a lot of problems today. In particular, Viking's going to make this look very easy in that Jaguar, and when Perry or one of the Porsches, for example, Astrodor coming up as well, get to the back of this Merc, it'll be game over. Yeah.
So D-Dubs has basically the challenge. Oh, he's really caught up to Jezza. Jezza made some sort of mistake. Now D-Dubs suddenly going for the lead of the race here. Viking on the outside of him. They're all kind of single file into the chicane. So Jezza just about gets away with it, but Viking much closer now and has already pulled alongside D-Dubs. So he's going to have to try and get a move done around the outside into turn 1 here.
Yeah.
But he's already done it once before. And it looks like he's fully ahead anyway. So
Yeah, he's got ahead by the line. Never mind turn 1.
And now Perry will be the next person to try and get an overtake done on
Oh,
D-dubs.
will he? That did not look too good there through
He
turn
saved it
2.
though. He saved it, to his credit. He's not actually that far behind.
He's got away with one there, I think, is the best way we put that. That did not look like a clean first couple of corners. Here comes Viking for the lead of the race. Is he going to get it? No, he is not. Jezza's going to hang on for dear life for now, and they've come together as well. Viking on the inside, pushing Jezza out. And Jezza is still here. He's still hanging with Viking for the moment in time.
So easy to get that corner wrong and go into the wall. It looks like both of them made it through, and Viking's got the lead for now. Jez is going to get into the slipstream though and be able to have a go at Viking to get the lead back into the hairpin at the end of this really long straight. He's got the overspeed and he is pulling on the inside. Viking's trying to defend, but not that hard actually.
Viking knows that he just has to exist at this point. He's if you're the tier 1 champion, you're expected to win this race. So you're just a case of biding his time and figuring out everything that goes along with it.
But yeah, he's not been able to overtake Jezza here. Jezza defending great. Doesn't get many opportunities to go wheel to wheel with the champion of ALR. But yeah, he's putting in a good show here.
Yeah, he's Viking's
here we go.
To the inside.
Yeah, the dummy there for Viking. Jezza's turning in a little bit on Viking and can't fully turn in. He's stuck his nose in as well, but not been able to get the overtake done. Potential down the back straight. I think he's a little bit too far behind. Yeah, Viking got a much better exit. Now Jezza's under pressure from Perry, who got past D-dubs and is about to get another overtake done here. I think he's trying to muscle Jezza out of the way to get into the slipstream. And he'll have to do it around the outside of turn 1. Jezza backed out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the sensible decision, the one that's going to make everyone survive, because at the end of the day, for the higher guys, you're expected to end high, but for the lower guys, you're just here just to cause an upset at the end of the day. That's the point of your existence in this race. Can you knock off a tier 2 driver? Can you knock off...
Not literally.
Not literally, yeah, but can you... God damn it. But yeah, can you knock off like a tier 1 driver, for example? Maybe not literally, but figuratively.
Yeah.
As we continue in the early stages of this race, let's have a look. We go down. D-Dubs is right on the back of Jezza again.
Yeah, looks like he's going to have another go at him.
And there's Asador as well. BX is pit already. So that explains where BX is. Here comes Jezza. It's defending to the inside. He is going to hold on. He is going to hold on to D-Dubs for a small
Maybe this
while
is why he got so many podiums in his season, because he's very, very good at defending against cars that are quicker than him.
I watched him the entire season. It's not necessarily more the defensive attributes of Jezza that did it. He's just always right place, right time.
Okay.
And that's usually a good That's usually a good skill to have if you're there to pick someone off when someone else makes a mistake.
Talk about picking off, by the way. Asador's just about to pick off D-Dubs on the entry to the chicane. D-Dubs kind of holding it around the outside, but Asador seems to have the move done, and now he's got Jezza. Where's Jezza gone? Jezza got a terrible exit and lost 2 positions.
I think he may have just been tapped in the back by Asador. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't get a very clear look down the line there. But on the faraway camera angle, it makes it look like Asador hit the back of Jezza. We'll have to see if anything happened or anyone mentioned anything.
So that's 2 tier 2 drivers in the top 3 anyway. So good night so far for tier 2. Going better than tier 1. Only P1, P6, and then BX just off the grid somewhere.
Yeah, he's already made his first pit stop, so he's obviously got a plan in place. We'll figure out whether or not that plan's going to work as we go along. And then Owen's the 3rd driver, and Owen is for tier 1, and he is starting to close into the so-called minnows now. Yeah,
there was a bit of a gap there, so Owen's on pretty quick pace at the moment compared to the guys ahead. He's going to have to overtake a Porsche though, which is identical in speed, so he'll have to do it on skill rather than relying on a good engine.
Yeah, and we've been here before where we expect, well, it's all about the tier difference, isn't it? We've been here before where we expect the tier 1 to get past the tier 4. It's been made a little bit more difficult than we're used to over the last couple of seasons in this race in terms of overtaking people like Jezza and D-Dubs who are still here in 4th and 5th at this point in time. But you wouldn't expect it to take too long.
No, Viking's in the pits. Okay, so we must be in the pit window then. Viking making a fairly early stop. The same strategy as Asseldor, actually. Asseldor a little bit better on fuel than Viking. I'm surprised because the Jagger's pretty good on fuel, or it used to be anyway. Maybe that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, but Porsche.
Yeah.
That's the argument to everything now, isn't it? Yeah, but Porsche. That's the answer. That's the answer to everything.
It's going to be banned across the board next season, though, so... Every cloud. Owen's really close to Jezza. It's just 2/10. He flew through turn 1 compared to Jezza and took out a good chunk of time.
He's going
to go for it. Oh, that is not a good overtaking spot in the tunnel, and he did think better of it, so he's going to be stuck behind Jezza for a couple more corners at least. Only 3.6 seconds off the lead. Perry's got the lead at the moment. Now Viking's gone in the pits.
Yeah, and for this race, it was really, really bad news that Viking hit the lead straight away. Because we were hoping for a race that might go down the way. We've seen it before, where the Nürburgring GP one comes to mind there with the intermediates, where he won that at the end. And here comes Owen on the inside of Jezza. The Tier 1 versus the Tier 4. Tier 1 third place versus Tier 4 champion, and it's won by the Tier 1 driver, as Owen is up into third now.
I think... Oh no, Jezza's coming back at him. Oh, he just can't do it. The angle for the corner was all wrong and he had to back out of it there. I think Viking Dog came out right behind Nominic, by the way, looking at the minimap.
You would be right. There.
There we go. And Viking's absolutely sent it from miles back, and it looks like he got the move done really well there on his fresh tyres.
Yeah, he got it to
Not
stick.
wasting any time.
It's interesting to see the combination of tyres being used here. So Viking is on his second set of mediums. Obviously, everyone needs to use every set of tyre at least once. And Owen's about to come in, so he's on his hard tyre. So it's very interesting to see how this unfolds in terms of strategy, where people are going to elect to use these tyres.
Yeah, Deco's medium tyres right now will be absolutely crying, but he's obviously taken the decision that this is preferable to try and maybe get fewer stops in if he can go a little bit longer.
He is actually on a better tyre. He's actually on better tyre wear here than Jezza is directly in front of him.
Okay.
Which is an interesting tidbit to just look at. He's obviously 5 seconds back and has a long way to go, but he's got a little bit better tyres. Also, BX, after one pit stop, is actually ahead of Viking.
Yep, 2.5 seconds. So that was a good undercut, but his tyres will be worse. So, well, what kind of tyres is Viking on? Is Viking on mediums again?
They're both on mediums right now.
Yeah, so... Yeah, Viking should be able to reel in BX now with the difference in tyres. As BX kicks up loads of dust going really close to the edge in that corner to get the maximum angle. But his lead's already dropped down to 2 seconds. So Viking is catching him pretty quickly. And this is essentially for the net race lead, because Perry's clearly on a completely different strategy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm not entirely sure if BX started on the hards or the mediums. I'm not entirely sure what the strategy from BX is here. I think it was the hard that he actually started on this, so that's 2 tyres ticked off the board already. So I think BX is more just looking to get rid of that requirement rather than actually putting himself in a place to fight Viking strategy for strategy at the moment. Because let's be honest,
we've seen it happen a lot in the 2-hour endurance series as well. People just do the minimum number of laps possible on the worst tyre for the day, usually the hards before the update anyway, and then do the rest of the stints. And even if that means an extra pit stop, then so be it. It's worth it to get off the tyres that you're least comfortable with. Yeah,
and well, since the update, that's definitely become the soft tyre. But yeah, it's a 6 times tyre wear as well. I want to point out that these tyres are going to be screaming the entire way. We're only on lap 10.
This is the final race in ALR on 6 times tyre wear, because the vote came in and 5 times tyre wear is what we're going to be going with next season. So the tyres will last a decent chunk longer, but there still should be some good variations in the strategy, hopefully.
Let's say hopefully. Let's figure out how it all plays out and see how people enjoy 5 times, and then the 2 times of sprint. Obviously, that changes as well next season. But yeah, also BX is now within half a second of Deco.
BX has really caught Deco a lot quicker than Viking has caught BX, and yeah, Deco doesn't look like he's fighting this one at all. And yeah, maybe that's smart for his strategy. And well, actually, he's going very slow. Is he letting Viking through as well?
Yeah, the answer to the question is yes.
That was a bit of overkill, I think, on Deco's behalf. But he knows what he's doing. Let's see how that works out for him. Surely he has to come in this lap. Look at those tires.
Yeah, this is essentially an off-season race. I'd be fighting the absolute living hell out of all these Tier 1 drivers.
Same. I want to frustrate the Tier 1 drivers so badly that they end up crashing behind me because they just can't overtake me.
Exactly. If they're don't know whether that was, yeah, he's in the pits now. I don't know whether or not that was a loose end of the car there, or whether or not, or what was going on. But yeah, this is the kind of race you drive to say, to try and get a highlight reel against someone like Viking or BX, where like you see what Jez has done already, where he went to the outside and hung on against Viking and all that. Where if you can have a moment like that, you can just go, look, I'm one of the guys that absolutely destroyed a Tier 1 driver. I don't know what you're talking about.
So let's see where Perry comes out. So Perry was the first person in the pits. He's come out and it looks like he's been undercut by Owen. And he's out in P4. Nominic is the only driver who still hasn't pit yet, and he's getting caught incredibly quickly by Owen at the moment on his fresher. I think Owen's on the mediums now.
Yeah, he is, and there's a hard tyre on Nominic's car and a hard tyre on Perry's car as well. So a lot of variation. We're just essentially seeing at this point who is willing to tick off the tyres that they need to drive on early, and who isn't. And it's a small tussle going on, and I think in another 10, 15 laps is where we'll figure out where this race is actually going.
Yeah, Owen should be able to get alongside by the breaking point, I think, here. Although that Corvette is still a beast on a straight like this, so maybe not. He's not actually closed in much at all.
Yeah, he's not even close, half a second still.
He's caught up in the braking zone, though.
Yeah, I'd say he's obviously going to turn better than that Corvette is, and even more so, given the fact that the Corvette's almost scraped the wall. And this might be, actually, Owen's not going to overtake Nominic here. And Nominic just about holds on for now, as he's sliding his car literally all over the place. This is going to be a good opportunity
for Owen to chuck it down the inside, and he has gone for it. And that was a great overtake from Owen. It's a shame we couldn't see where Nominic's car was, but I think he just completely caught Nominic by surprise. Nominic's in the pits anyway, so maybe just didn't want to fight it for absolutely no reason. So yeah, Owen up into P3, so now the top 3 are all of a sudden the Tier 1 drivers.
Yeah,
Perry and Asador falling back in the pit sequence.
Perry's got a second penalty. I'm not entirely sure where he got that, how he got that.
That's bad. He'll have to serve that on the next lap as well. I think Viking is right behind BX now.
Yes, 0.3 of a second. Oh, that didn't help.
BX is off track.
That didn't help at all. That's not a good place for BX to be when you have the Tier 1 champion barreling down your inside.
BX with dirty tyres. Vikings managed to pull along the outside. Is he going to be able to swoop through
switch
the corner?
Back.
No, he gets the switch back. BX has the inside line, which is going to turn into the outside line. He's got the position for now, but we're about to enter the back straight. And Viking wants to get the move done even before then. He's compromising BX's line into the corner to try and get a better exit, which it definitely looks like he's done. Actually, no, he's got to tuck into the slipstream of BX, but he's going to get another opportunity at the end of this straight.
I was about to say, now this is just going to turn into straight line speed, which is better. Jaguar Genesis, as they dart down to the bottom of the hill now. BX still had maybe a half car lead, and it's not going to last too long because Viking had the better turn in terms of, well, he's got tyres probably double the, BX is double the wear than Viking is, and Viking now takes the lead of the race back from BX.
Yeah, so what BX has to do now really is just stay stuck to the back of Viking, because I'm assuming BX is going to have to pit again earlier than Viking's going to. and he has the opportunity of getting a good undercut, but he's got to stick with the car in front essentially.
Yeah, and that's going to be how it's going to be the entire race, isn't it? When you've decided to lock yourself into an early pit stop, you're always going to be on the strategy that essentially makes your tires worse than the person you're trying to fight.
Yeah.
And when that person you're trying to fight is Viking, it makes it an awful lot harder.
Okay, Claus has come into the pits. He was on soft tyres, so I think that was the first driver to be on softs. So that's his second pit stop already, Claus.
Yeah, let's have a look down the grid. Hards for Assador, hards for Perry. Deco is on the softs. He's currently in
He should
sixth.
be catching Perry. Perry's had that second penalty. His gap to Deco's reducing very quickly there.
Yeah, also Deco jumped D-dubs and Jezza, and all of a sudden its normal service resumed in the land of ALR.
It is, but they're still in the top half. So tier 5 and a tier 4 champion in the top half is pretty decent. Actually, if we got everyone apart from Claus, all the champions apart from Claus are in the top 8 currently.
Yeah, Claus has just pit. Jezza's still got
a different
Pi.
strategy, yeah.
Jezza's still got Pi right behind him as well, by the way, albeit Pi is almost
he's
certainly
caught
about
up pretty
to
well
pit.
to this battle, yeah. Xlax as a sponsor. Okay. That's a interesting choice. Higgsy up on the back of Spin now, though, and it looks like he's going to be in a bit of a rush to get an overtake done.
It would make sense. He's on far better tyres. Spin has surely got to be in this lap. There's no way, because his tyres are literally falling off a cliff.
He's in for a world of pain for the rest of this lap. That is not good.
They're going to die immediately after turning in for this corner.
This corner is going to kill the tyres, yeah.
Oh, somehow survived the start of this one, albeit overtaken by Higgsy rather easily. He is still
already in the pits, by the way. Second stop on lap 13. So this is a really interesting strategy about to play out between Viking and BX. BX might come out in traffic, though.
It depends. Perry has gone in as well. Perry's come off the hard, which is an interesting
a really short hard stint for Perry.
I feel like the Trial Mountain pit lane might be rather big in terms of the pit lane last time. So maybe avoiding the amount of pit stops that they're going for right now might be the strategy to go for. Obviously, Astrodor and Viking are probably, knowing as well, are probably one pit stop down in terms of the overall race to BX and Perry. And it looks like BX has got out directly in front of Higgsy, so he's avoided the traffic. And Perry is still in the pits.
Yep, he's putting in a lot of fuel here, so he's probably going on a long medium stint. Yep.
Is he ahead of Claus? No, he is.
I don't think so. I think Claus is just a second and a half. So I'm pretty sure that's an undercut. Claus wasn't that high up when he came into the pits, so that's a really good outlap for Claus to get that position on Perry. We got Nominix actually 12 seconds up, but we know he's out of sequence because he was the very last person to come into the pits, and he's on hard tyres, so he's going to go long again, probably till the end of his fuel tank.
So he went on hards to start with, he then came in and put another set of hards on, so Nominix definitely planned.
On mediums, okay.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't. I'm pretty sure Nominix being he came in, I think it was like 11 or 12 there by the looks of those times. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he was on a hards and he's come back onto hards anyway. So he's going to do double hard stint, and if he does a double hard stint, he's going to try and make sure that he's medium and a soft. He's going to try and free stop this. I think that might be the potential aim for Nominix.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to have to 3-stop because we've already seen people do 2 sets of mediums as well in this race.
It's more. I was expecting 4 stops rather than 3 stops for most. I think Nominix might be a pit stop less than everyone else, more than a pit stop more.
Yeah.
Which might come back to him, might not. We'll wait and see. It's far too early to tell. We're not even at half race distance around Trial Mountain here, and that Corvette is apparently not as good as it once was.
Well, we have to see. I reckon it's still one of the better cars. But yeah, it seems like tire wear is an issue for it. And obviously it turns like a boat, which it's always had a problem with, but apparently that's worse as well. Unlike the Porsche, which is just unbelievable at the moment.
Yeah. And
what else do you think is one of the top cars? I would say the Ferrari's up there as well.
I would say most of the German ones, most of the Italian ones is probably it's seemingly what it looks like right now, and then maybe a couple of the Japanese.
Yeah,
also
the Mazda is up there as well. We saw it win quite comfortably yesterday.
From what I've seen, I wouldn't touch an American car with a 10-foot barge pole.
That's a good point. I'm trying to think now. American cars. The Viper is meant to be alright, actually. I'm going to test that in off-season.
We'll have to get something.
Really wide from BX. Or was Jezza just too tight? I can't really tell.
I think
but BX is really close to Jezza anyway.
I'd about to say, I think BX was definitely not this close to Jezza. I think Jezza may have just lost traction on the exit. I think that may have been what have been the issue. And well, if you're going to lose traction and the car beside you is that Genesis of BX, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and he's in a lot of trouble here. BX already up the side of him into the braking zone for the chicane, and BX much later on the brakes as well. Deco comes into the pits off of his soft tyres. Yeah, and BX swoops into P5 as a result. 3 seconds down the road from D-Dubs, who's managed to drop Jezza quite well, actually.
Yeah, D-Dubs has made a very good run of this race so far in terms of keeping himself relatively close to those guys that are on the lead kind of strategies. It's obvious that a Tier 5 driver doesn't have the pace of the guys that we're used to seeing at the front of these races.
Yeah, but he's doing really well, actually. I love it when we watch Race of Champions and you're halfway in the race and one of the lower tier drivers are still cutting it with the top guys.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely incredible. The underdog story is the best story when it comes to anything, isn't it? That's just a part of human nature, realistically, to root for the underdog.
Yeah.
But it's a case of whether or not that underdog can keep this going for another 20-odd laps that we have left to go. And it looks like BX is already
we have to
running
wait
now.
and see. The tricky part starts for these slower drivers when they start getting caught by multiple of the quicker drivers who want to get past, because that's where your race can start to unravel. You lose your rhythm, you're getting overtaken, you might have a bit of contact or, lose unnecessary time battling through corners, and then once they're gone, they just go up the road, which is also a little bit disheartening, and then you can just completely lose your rhythm and then end up outside the top 10. But it doesn't have to be like that for D-Dubs. He's still holding his own. He's getting caught pretty quickly by VX Royal, but Jezza and Higgsy aren't making much progress on him.
All three of the top three, however, into the pit. So D-Dubs should inherit the race
let's
lead.
Go. Race lead on lap 17. Maybe we should put him in Tier 2 next season.
There's not many Tier 5 drivers that will be able to say they've led a race with the 3 quickest Tier 1 drivers for 17 laps in.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
Yeah, and he has, in fact. Has he taken the lead? That's going to be close.
Just.
Viking is out. He is in the lead. Well, D-Dub's in the lead, and actually BX is back ahead of Viking as well. So Viking dropped to third.
I expected BX to do a bit better with the undercut there. Viking is only 9/10 of a second behind BX. And he's potentially about to have a Tier 5 driver in his way because BX is going to get the move done around the outside, it looks like. Yeah, really easy. Takes it nice and wide, gets a good exit, and gets the lead of the race again. So it only lasted, I think that's 3 corners, but well done, Dito.
It lasted enough for him to be able to say he was leading against the Tier 1 drivers.
It still counts.
Everything counts. It's just small things in ALR, let's be honest.
Right, now he's under pressure from Viking Dog, who is, I think, it looks about half a second behind D-Dubs.
Yeah, it's not half a second.
2/10 of a second. Right, here we go.
And you know when we were saying before that your race may become unraveled when you get overtaken by a couple of the quick guys? Well, this is the situation you were talking about right here. Here comes D-Dubs. They're going to fight this back. Come on. You're going to get this. No, he cannot. That almost looked incredible.
It was a nice little switchback. It would have worked on other drivers, but Viking Dog is the best in the league, so understandable that you want to have a go. But yeah, he didn't lose much time. He's 2.5 ahead of Jezza. It was around about 3.5 previously, so he's only lost a little bit by getting overtaken. And if he could keep his rhythm, then he should be okay as we head into the next pit stop phase for some of these guys who are going a bit longer.
I was about to say that.
Something's happened to Higgsy as well.
Yeah, we'll take a look in a minute. When we see it, D-Dubs has just got to hang himself on the back of Viking for as long as he humanly can. That's all that is for his race now. Is how long can he hold himself to the back of Viking? It's a hard task, and it's not going to last very long. But if he can, the longer he stays behind Viking, the better he's going to have of a day he's going to have against someone like Jezza, for example.
Yep, these couple of tenths of a second really helped. That just being in a slipstream down that straight actually gave D-Dubs an extra 2 tenths on Jezza, but he's got a second penalty now for cutting one of the corners there in that really tricky section. So that is gonna allow Jezza to close right up and challenge for that final podium spot.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's just starting going a little bit wrong now for D-Dubs.
Yeah. Owen, meanwhile, is caught back up to Jezza. So Jezza doing one less pit stop than Owen. That's why Owen is back in P5 at the moment. He's going to have to pick his way past a couple of cars as well to get back on the podium spots. He's got a good run on Jezza out of that corner, and he's got slipstream.
Yeah, and in equal machinery, this will benefit Owen quite massively. The real question is he going to be close enough by the time we hit the bottom of this hill? And the answer is absolutely yes. He is more than close enough, and he got the inside line as well. Jezza needed to fight at that, and he didn't. And he absolutely didn't, and Owen's just going to pick him off rather easily there. Yep.
Good solid overtake there for Owen. Wasn't ever really in doubt. And now D-Dubs just ahead of him. If he could close in, D-Dubs has that second penalty to serve at the end of the lap, so he might just get a free position here.
Yeah. It's not good news.
3 seconds is a bit too far back, actually.
No, but yeah, it's too far back, but it just puts Owen in a better position at the end of the next lap to try and make a move. I think that's what's the situation is going to arise here. There's the penalty. It's been served. Owen is closing in. That's 2-2, 1-8, 1-6. It's not actually going to get him within a second. Oh, if it is, it's going to be mightily close. It actually is going to get him within a second, just about.
Wow. That is a really harsh penalty line compared to what we're used to seeing. Yeah, the gap is now half a second. Owen's obviously taken this section of the track better because D-Dubs literally just got a penalty right there. He's managed to avoid one this time around, though. But he's gone very wide in the tunnel, and that's just opened the door for Owen, who just gets another position incredibly easily. And now he's only 4.2 seconds behind Viking. So that gap with Viking is a lot lower than it was previously.
Yeah, and well, now another chance to go at them. We've seen that the Porsche, we all know that the Porsche is realistically the best car in the game at this current point in time. It's just a case of, well, you've now got half the race. You've got to go after the two quickest drivers, two of the quickest drivers that have ever existed in this league. So, good luck. You can have whatever car you want. You've got a long, long task ahead of you.
Indeed. Let's see what's going on a little bit further back.
Dominic
on his own.
Perry and Asador 1.6 seconds, so we're gonna have
Perry's got damage, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's not good. That's definitely not good. I'm pretty sure it's light damage in this, not heavy. So that'll go away sooner rather than later, but that means that Asador is just going to drive away, and it might bring Claus back into this.
Yeah. Yeah, Claus on a different strategy to everyone else, currently in P9, so he is actually the highest placed Tier 3 driver. So Tier 3 not having the best of times in this race compared to the other tiers.
Yeah, well, let's have a look further down. So you mentioned Higgsy beforehand. O'Leary, Higgsy and Deco are here. If Higgsy was having an issue before, then I'm not entirely sure what the rest of the grid is having.
Yeah, Higgsy's just come out of the pits in a really bad spot. Stuck behind Deco, who he is racing for position. They made the same number of pit stops. O'Leary looks like he's dived into the pits now.
Yep, off the medium tyres, and Higgsy is going to have the inside line against his tier rival here. Tier 3 versus Tier 3, and Higgsy is going to have this one.
Yeah. Or is he? Because Deco's still there. He's got the slipstream as well, only 3 tenths back at the moment. Looks like Higgsy got a better exit, actually. So, job done for Higgsy there, and all of a sudden he's in the top 10.
Yeah, it was made very easy when you realise that the line was compromised.
What's happened to Munkin?
Yeah, Munkin's having a nightmare of it. He's having a proper Tier 5 time of Race of Champions, that's for certain. O'Leary there Spin has spanned one too many times for him to be a factor. Higgsy is already a second clear of Deco. Let's have a look. Perry's opened up again another half second since the damage wore off. And he is starting to get close enough to Asseldor. Asseldor 6.5 seconds behind Nominic, so that's tier 2 versus tier 2 versus tier 2 there for 6, 7, and 8.
Oh, nice. Nominic's recovered pretty well then, actually. Maybe he still hasn't made his second stop.
No, he won't have, but we are under the assumption that he's probably on one stop less than the rest of the grid, so it won't matter.
Yeah.
This is more...
He's taking advantage of that big fuel tank on the Corvette, for sure.
Yeah, it's more representative of where he actually is. And that's that's also part of what it's about, isn't it? The in-tier fighting. You just want to be better than the people that you've been driving against all season.
Yeah. And it just feels good to beat drivers that are in higher tiers than you. And actually, they are the better drivers in their tiers as well. Yeah. But yeah, it's a bit weird though, because we don't often have a 1, 2, 3 from tier 1 in Racer Champions. Usually 1 and, fairly often 2 have races to forget, and we get like tier 2 drivers. Sometimes the odd tier 3 driver makes it on the podium as well, but it seems fairly straightforward at the moment.
Yeah, it's been very rudimentary from the front three, and I don't think that's going to change. I think it's a bit too late for that to realistically change. We're already 20 laps in. Everyone's already set into their rhythms, into their strategies. So whilst we don't actually know where everyone's going to lie and how they're doing their strategies for that matter as well, it definitely doesn't look good for everyone outside of tier 1 to be on the podium.
No, definitely not. Just scroll down a little bit. Let's just see.
I just realized
this is really interesting.
We're almost entirely uniform.
Yeah, apart from D-Dubs being 2 places too high. The top 3 are tier 1, the next 3 are tier 2, the next 3 are tier 3. And then we've got a little bit of a jumble with D-Dubs being a bit too high. But if he was a couple of places lower, that would be the exact grid order that you'd expect based on how they rank. Yeah,
and it would be a case of skill is very much exactly where we thought it would be.
Yep.
But then again, it's not really. We've seen people like Spin, for example, just throwing away every opportunity they get. Also, Jeddah had a penalty, so you might be about to push D-Dubs up yet another position, and he's going to be ahead of all 3 tier 4 drivers.
Yeah, did Jezza fuel less to get ahead of D-Dubs? Because D-Dubs was a good couple of seconds ahead of him.
The answer is yes.
Okay, so interesting strategy trying to get track position. That's a good strategy to do, but unfortunately he's just ruined it with his half-second penalty, and he's got less fuel shoots, so he should technically be quicker than D-Dubs in this stage of the race.
Yeah, and they're both very much clear of the next driver, so it's just a fight between these two. And we've seen before that this particular penalty line is absolutely brutal. Also, Claus is now in the pits as well, off the medium tyres.
He's ruining the synergy.
Right, so here comes D-Dubs. Is D-Dubs going to get this move? Yes, he is, and that's fairly easy with the penalty. As they head down towards turn 1, then they got Spin in the background of a shot there.
Yep, so it was quite easy for D-Dubs in the end, and he's already gapping Jezza through turns 1 and 2, so he's feeling pretty good on these hard tyres.
He's definitely putting on a show for tier 5 today, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I think the last time this happened was when Bad Robot was the tier 7 champion, and halfway through the race he was still mixing it with BX Royal.
Yeah, that's actually a decent chunk of time ago. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, now he's in tier 1.
As I say, gone from tier 7 to tier 1. It was almost a year ago that we actually had the tier 7 was actually a thing. So yeah. It's been a long time since that period of time. So just a trip down an ALR memory lane for a minute there. D-Dubs is still 0.6 of a second ahead of Jeddah. That's straight line speed in the Merc, almost coming back to bite him. But yeah, he should start to pull away. We say that like we're expecting the Tier 5 driver to pull away from the Tier 4 driver. That's not usually how this works.
I know, but he's putting in a very solid performance, D-Dubs. He's won quite a lot of races this season, and proving how he's done that, especially coming from quite far back. But he was also one of the top qualifiers in Tier 5, if not the best qualifier, so it does make a lot of sense that he can put the foot down. But something's happened to Viking, because Owen's caught up to him.
Yeah, Owen has caught the 4 seconds. I said it was a long task beforehand. Apparently it wasn't. Viking's having a bit of an issue. BX is 5 seconds clear up the road.
I think Viking lost the 4 seconds rather than Owen gained it, because Viking wasn't that far back behind BX. He was like between 1 and 2 seconds when the pits happened. So Viking's had a really sloppy stint somewhere along the line, and Owen's going to have a go at him into this next corner. Really late on the brakes for Viking, and I don't think Owen's going to have a chance there.
No, Viking does enough to defend it. Let's have a look at the tyre wear then. Oh, it's hard versus mediums, first off, so Owen is on the faster compound, but his tyres are significantly worse for wear. And also Owen has more fuel in the tank right now than Viking. Owen has more fuel in the tank than Viking does, if I can speak English. In comes BX. In comes Viking as well.
Okay, interesting. So Owen's gonna be released a little bit to set one decent in lap, hopefully for him, and it's gonna depend on how much fuel he has to put in compared to Viking as well. Viking did have a little bit less fuel than Owen before he went into the pits, so assuming they're gonna pit, well, they could fuel to the end, but it's probably more likely they'll just put in a short amount until the next pit stop.
Yeah.
Track position.
Nominix come in, so Astrodor staying out, and this is where we're getting a little bit of variation in strategy. The question is, at this point, is it 3 or 4 stops, or maybe even 5 for a couple of them, depending on how they've strategized this. But it's very much looking, as I said, for Nominic. He did hard, and now he's going to go on a medium and then end on the softs, which is a fairly smart strategy, actually, which is not very common from Nominic.
So Viking does have some clear air. BX obviously gets out ahead of Viking. Then there's Higgsy and Deco in between Nominic and Perry, who are still pitting. D-Dub's getting past both of them, actually.
Let's see.
And Jezza.
Nominic's putting 69% onto medium tires. As I said, is he going to get out? There's Jezza as he goes go by, and there's Pie and Claws as well. But yeah, Nominic is 5 seconds up the road from that. But Nominic is now on medium tires. The rest are on hards. So it should be fairly easy work for Nominic.
Especially in the Corvette. Yeah, he just needs to catch up to them before the next race. And he should get the move done in theory. But yeah, these guys haven't been easy to pass all race. So he needs to really nail it.
Yeah, we've seen that the Tier 1 drivers had issues with them at the beginning. But when you're in a car that's significantly faster in a straight line and on better tires as well, as supposedly a better driver, you should be able to make very, very quick work of this. To answer the question what happened to Claus, we're not sure whether it was strategy or something happened in the first lap, but he hasn't been anywhere this entire race.
Yes. Your guess is as good as ours. He did pit early, so I think he's pitting earlier than everyone else. Maybe he's doing an extra pit stop, and he's just trying to catch up that delta that he's given himself by deciding to do that. Obviously, D-Dub's driving in the same car, also a champion in the AMG, doing a completely different strategy, and he's still up in P7. Jezza just ahead of Nominic now, so Nominic has caught up to Jezza. Maybe we'll see a move into the next chicane coming up.
We're either getting a move into the next chicane, or we're getting a move down into turn 1. Never mind, we're not even waiting for the chicane. He's already ahead.
That was fairly straightforward stuff from Nominic. I think Jezza must have had a mistake on the exit of that corner.
It looked significantly easier than it should have been for Nominic there, as he is now less than 2 seconds behind D-Dubs, and we go back to what I was saying earlier. A driver with fresher tyres and supposedly better skill should be able to blast right by these guys without much of an issue. And, well, he's done one. Halfway
Yeah,
there.
Nominic's won a lot of races in that Corvette on tracks that you wouldn't really fancy it to do well as well. So he's really proving that, you know, it's not just about the car. Each car has its advantages and disadvantages, but you can overcome them and win if you're good enough, basically. Yeah, and he was in the championship fight for the entire season as well.
Yeah.
So expecting him to pick off D-Dubs is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Long story short, good luck. You're gonna need it. Here comes Owen into the pits. So we'll see where
I wonder
he
if
is.
Asador's going to follow him through. They're both in the Porsches.
Yeah, we'll see where Owen comes out in terms of Viking and BX. That's what I want to know, because Viking obviously was right beside Owen before Viking pit a lap or two prior.
Yeah.
Here comes Dominic. Is he close enough? He is not. He is not close enough down the back straight. If he's not close enough now, he almost certainly will be by the time we reach turn 1, but that's a different point, a different problem entirely for the Mercedes in front of him.
Yeah, he's just flying down the hill at the moment as well, Dominic. So this is where he caught up to Jezza really well. They've absolutely dropped Jezza, by the way, 2.3 seconds back on D-Dubs.
So what just happened at the front?
BX had a penalty. BX had a penalty, and it's gifted the lead of the race to Viking.
And is Owen coming out in second?
And Owen is... No, BX just gets him into turn 1. Nearly chops him off. That was as close as you want it to get.
It's a lot closer than I was giving it credit for, that's for certain.
So all of a sudden, the 3 Tier 1 drivers are separated by 2.4 seconds. That's insane.
Yeah.
There was quite a big gap between these guys. BX obviously having a bit of trouble there with a penalty. It must have been a big penalty. Viking, we saw, lost about 5 seconds to BX. And he's managed to gain it all back already. So things looking good for Viking now.
Yeah, and they're on very similar terms in terms of strategy now, where they've both done the hard tyres. They've both lined up the lap stepping as well, which is a fairly interesting thing in terms of how the strategy has unfolded.
Yeah.
So it is just a straight race now between that Genesis and that Jaguar.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just on that, I wanted to shout out Deco just quietly plodding away in P4 on his own. He's ahead of quite a big battle of cars headed by Dominic. A little, which I don't know where Perry's gone, by the way. He was doing pretty well. Where's he? Down in 11th now.
He exists in this race. I'm not entirely sure where he's gone. He's down behind Spin, which is a worrisome sight.
Yeah, he's quite a way back, Perry, and Higgsy actually. So maybe it's strategy and it'll come back to them, because they do look like they've just come into the pits with how fresh the tyres are. But yeah, Claus looks like he's at the back of this train that we've joined. Jezza looks like he's sort of in it, but really having to defend. Well, he didn't defend actually. That's the problem.
Didn't defend it well, that's for certain. Claus just driving on by, not really much of an effort put into that, and of course D-Dubs is the next one up the road. Asador is ahead of D-Dubs now.
Asador literally just at the chicane got ahead of D-Dubs, and yeah, all of a sudden he's got some clear air to attack his best friend in Tier 2, Dominic.
Yeah, those two have had a heated season. As they came to a boil just a little bit there on topless at the end of the season. Some very choice words thrown at each other.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm sure nothing bad will happen on track. So Astor's 3 seconds behind, and he should be able to catch Dominic in theory, because Dominic's been out for a bit longer, and he's stuck behind Deco, so he's managed to catch Deco pretty quickly, maybe. Well, or is he lapping his car actually?
No, it's Deco. It is Deco in front of him, but the word I wouldn't be using the word stuck, because that Corvette is about to blow the doors off of this Lexus. Yeah. And it's not going to be a particularly hard fight either. This is just going to be straight down the hill, and this is just going to be bye-bye, see you later, try and go, come again a different time. Dominic down the inside there. It's going to make this look really easy, and up in the 4th he goes.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, after his off in lap 1, which he actually paused the game to write about in chat, he's all the way up into 4th place now.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you've been able to put the strategy together. He's obviously only free stopping. Some people have already decided that they're already on free stops, Viking and BX in particular. Names that come to mind there.
Yeah, maybe the tyre wear on the Corvette's not actually that bad. If he can do a stop less than everyone else. Trial Mountain's, I would say, average on tyre wear. It's not the worst, it's not the best.
Yeah, I haven't. I can't. Honestly, I can't say I've driven Trial Mountain very much, especially Group 3 cars since the update in particular. So I don't know if that's changed at all. But
no, but maybe we should join the battle at the front, because that still looks like the closest battle that we've got. All three of them pretty close together, especially BX with Owen. Owen on fire at the moment. Only 6/10 behind BX. BX still managing to stick it with Viking, so he's going to get a little bit of slipstream down this straight. And the Gen X has a good top speed now, much better than it was before, even though before it wasn't that bad either. It's making it difficult for Owen to actually catch BX, because BX is actually catching Viking fairly quickly on the straight, and that might potentially save BX over these next few laps.
Yeah, we've got a 3-man train developing here, and that. Well, Owen's in the worst place. You never want to be third in a 3-man train. That's
well, actually, he can choose to undercut the two guys if they stay out and get track position that way for their final stops.
Yeah, he's got to do that. Well, we obviously don't know how long softs realistically go, but
this is it.
I don't think you're going to do an awful lot of catching BX and Viking out, if I'm honest. It is not very hard, not very easy to catch them. Well, we catch one of those two drivers sleeping at the wheel. So
yeah, both of them a little bit twitchy coming out that final corner though. So that's giving Viking a bit of breathing space.
Yeah, it's
Klaus looks like he's overtaken D-Dubs a bit further down. I'm not sure if that had already happened, but D-Dub's in the pit, maybe that's why.
Deco's in the pit. The wrong one beginning with a D.
Oh, Deco's in the pit.
Wrong tier. Wrong coloured car.
Well, one of them needs to change the names. That's
also,
that's too much.
That is, I'm guessing that's going to turn into something in the chat, because Lord Hand has already clipped me saying you never want to be third in a 3-man train. That's great. it's absolutely brilliant. Also, yeah, Clausen's 2.2 seconds off the back of Astrodor. And, well, Clausen's absolutely been massive in Tier 3 this season. Absolutely nailing basically everything, especially pre-update.
Yep. And post-update, apart from the very last race, which he could have actually won, but he ended up finishing, I think, 14th.
That's a very, very, very... That's a me type of could have won scenario, that.
I mean, you've won the championship, so, like, I guess the pressure's off, but also, like, you're not concentrating that hard.
Yeah, and, yeah, so we know what happened the last time he was in Tier 2 as well. We know that's where he'll be. Do you think he's going to improve on the last attempt at Tier 2?
His problem last time he was in Tier 2 was, and it's going to be the same next season, you've got incredibly fast guys, so you might be able to match them on pace, but you're still going to qualify maybe P7, sometimes P10, P14, if everyone has a good quali, and they don't make mistakes. And what Clause's problem was that he had the pace over one lap, but he made far too many mistakes, and if you're the only one making mistakes, you're finishing last, and then you're just not getting any points all season. That's basically what happened to him and why he went down. And then he went down, he managed to basically qualify on pole position and not have to race anyone for quite a few rounds, so it was fairly easy for him, but he's going to run into the same problem. So the question is, has he improved on his kind of racecraft when he's under pressure in order to cope with Tier 2, and that's what we're going to find out.
Yeah, you know, you're right. It's a very hard-hitting season for me in particular as well when it comes to Tier 2. If you make mistakes, you are punished. It's a very troubling time for someone who can't keep the car on the track in particular. Yeah, Monken's been lapped by a few cars now. Nominek's still the one in front here. So yeah, we've got a lot of things happening. Also, the battle at the front hasn't really changed. Again, the 3-man train has devolved into a 3-man train. There's not an awful lot happening here.
Okay. Yeah, everyone's separated by less than 1.5 seconds, which is pretty amazing for this far into the race. I think they're proving why they were the top 3 in their tier.
Yeah.
Owen's really improved as well. He didn't used to be at the pace of BX Royal, Owen. He actually is a tier 2 champion. Oh, BX actually makes a mistake here. This might open the door for Owen heading down into the chicane. No, he's not actually going for a move.
Oh, is he? That did not look...
he's just too quick into the corner, but I think they avoided contact just about.
If they didn't, it would be extremely minor contact. Owen just about get to... Oh my god. I can't. God damn it. But yeah, here comes Owen.
Here we go. Owen's going to stick it on the inside, and he was really late and brave on the brakes. He's got P2 now, Owen. Owen's got a chance of winning the whole thing. If he could keep it with BX still trying to get that position back, but he's had to tuck in behind, and I think BX's tyres might be a little bit worse at this stage as well.
Let's have a look. Yeah, you're right. Comfortably on the front. Owen has the best tyres.
And Owen is going to be chasing down Viking now. He's got to really focus on the car ahead and hope that BX just falls a little bit too far back so that he doesn't have to go defensive at the end of this straight that we're just entering now.
Yeah, and we also know that all three of these are going to... We're anticipating all three of these are going to essentially pit at the exact same time. So we're in a sprint race to the finish from here on out.
Yeah.
They'll all be on softs as well. That's the tyre that I don't think I've seen any of these guys use out of this at this point. So we're expecting them to pit at the same time onto the same tyre. So it's just a case of who's got the most pace here in this trio.
Yeah, it looks like Owen. He's actually closed in 3/10 on Viking whilst we've been talking. So really nailing these corners. He's dropping BX a little bit now as well. But there is one more pit stop before the end of the race. I'm fairly sure everyone in this group still has to do their soft tyre.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do anyway, unless I've missed something during this race.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
It's a very long race, so this kind of thing. In particular, when you have to keep an eye out on who's use what tyre, and all of them have to use all three. So it's some things they're going to slip through. But I don't know if that's enough fuel to get to the end realistically in all these cars. So I think they may have just planned for it anyway.
Yeah. Owen's got actually more fuel, so he's potentially putting in less fuel in the pit stop.
He's also half the time between him and Viking.
Yeah, he's had an amazing turn 1 and 2 there. The gap's now just half a second.
He's going to have a shot. He is going to have a shot at Viking by the end of this race, which is amazing.
Yep. Owen's last race champions resulted in a disqualification because he didn't use the right tyres in the race. So it'll literally be going from 0 to hero if he manages to win this race. Obviously never won it before. I think Viking has. BX Royals won it a couple of times at least as well.
Yeah, and BX has now dropped off the back. His tyres are significantly worse, and Owen has definitely got the best of the three on both fuel and on tyres. So he's got a nice position here. He's in second. He's got the slipstream. He's got the ability to go after Viking essentially at his will here at one of these straights. If he can get close enough, he might even go for a little bit of a dive, see if he can try and pose a threat. But yeah, he's got to realistically hang on to the back of Viking as much as humanly possible here until the door opens up.
It's all playing pretty well into Owen's hands here, but the question is, when are they going to pit for these soft tyres, and when can you feasibly pit to try and get an undercut but also make the softs last until the end of the race? That is the kind of question that these guys will be weighing up right now.
Yeah, especially if they haven't already used said softs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure none of these three have used softs.
Well, we'll see in the next lap or two, because he won't be wanting to do anything less than... Well, unless they all do one lap on softs, which would be a fairly interesting...
That would be a first.
The Intergate all over again, just with soft tyres this time.
No, the softs haven't dropped off that bad. Surely.
I don't know, honestly. It's a case of how much they value the softs. It's 0.2 of a second here currently between Viking and Owen. Or it was 0.2. He's lost a couple of attempts in these last couple of corners. And now we get to see the straight line speed. Who's going to have this battle down the straight?
Yep, the Jag versus the Porsche. The Porsche is closing in slightly. Nom's still a fair bit ahead of Asseldor, maybe a second or two at the moment. But we're going to stick with this because Owen is challenging for the lead now.
He got within a quarter of a second there. He's in within about 2/10, and he's not able to make it into the hairpin there at the end of the corner, or the sweeping left-hander at the end of the straight there. And we're now on to the end of 33. And it's a case of, is Owen going to run out of time at Viking here? Because he's definitely got more. He's definitely got more tires. He's definitely got more fuel, and in they come.
Both of them at the same time, and BX Royal as well. So they all have been doing their testing, and they all think that this is the perfect time to pit for their final soft stint. Nominic, I think, will have to come in as well.
He will
put on some softs to the end, especially with how dead those mediums are looking. He's 2 seconds ahead of Asseldor now, and the gap is closing, but probably not enough before the final pit stop for these guys. Probably expected to see everybody who hasn't been on a soft tyre to come in on this lap.
Yeah, also, can I just point out that Owen's got 5% more fuel coming into the pit stop here.
Yeah, that's huge. Let's join up back up with Owen. Asseldor's gone back through, so he's potentially going to the end
He
of
is
the
actually
race,
ahead.
or stopping on the next lap.
He's ahead in terms of fueling. In terms of fueling, look, it's 2% more.
Viking's putting 2% less.
Okay. So who's come out first?
It looks like
they're out side by side
through each other.
They're out side by side. They go through turn 1. It is Viking. And they're back to basically the same gap they had prior.
So Viking, by putting 2% less fuel in, that was just about enough to get that position where he could nudge Owen out of the way on the entry into turn 1 and retake the lead of the race after losing it very momentarily. BX not too far behind either, so he's definitely going to be a factor for the rest of the race.
This is going to be huge. Owen has got to keep to the back of Viking as much as humanly possible here. And he's got to hope the door opens up, because he had a chance there. Vikings put in 2% less fuel. I don't know whether or not that's the car needing less fuel, or he's potentially underfueled very slightly. But either way, Owen's got the work to do now. He had the chance, and he's lost it.
He's got the run, though. He's got the run on Viking as we exit the tunnel. He's still 4/10 behind. He could potentially try a move under braking, but Viking's very late on the brakes himself. Owen getting a better run through the corner, and if he's just coming up to a really tricky section of the track where overtaking is not really possible, he's going to have to tuck in behind Viking, and BX closing in massively. They're all separated by about 0.8 of a second right now.
Yeah, and can we just say that BX's car is probably the fastest one in a straight line. So if this comes to a drag race to the line, they may have an issue with that Genesis behind them, or the Gen X, sorry. Right behind them. We might be in for a grandstand finish here. Asseldor is now into the pits. Higgsy is currently in 5th. Nominic is in 6th. Deco 7, Claude 8. Now that's just changed as they come down the hill.
Yep, so Owen dropping back to around about half a second behind Viking there. But the one to look at when we head down the back straight is definitely BX Royal. He's potentially going to get a double slipstream if these guys stay close together, and he's got the top speed advantage. He could definitely overtake Owen and maybe even Viking if he gets a good enough run out of that final corner.
Yeah, Higgsy into the pits now as well. Asseldor into the pits. So we'll see where they come out in a very short amount of time. I don't think Higgsy has to fuel it all, so he's just doing tyres. He'll catch up to Asseldor rather a lot, but maybe not enough realistically to be close enough to take the top 5. And we're still focusing on the top 3. Nominic's in 4th, Asseldor's in 5th. The tier 2, so it's tier 1, tier 1, tier 1, and then tier 2, and then champion of tier 3.
Yep, looks like he's just got ahead of Higgsy, but BX Royal closing the gap on Owen, but still not enough. Owen's taking advantage of the slipstream that he's getting from Viking as well. So that is keeping Owen in P2 at the moment. So Owen looked like the fastest car before the pit stop, so now he looks like the slowest out of the 3 for sure.
Yeah, that's more that's more aligned with what we expect from this triplet of drivers, and if that's the case, then Viking should be able to clear a second, and if Viking clears a second here, it's game over.
Absolutely. BX has so much work to do. He's given himself a lot of work by staying out a little bit too long, I think, on that stint because he did a very, very early stop compared to these guys, but still did the same number of pit stops. So that is where he struggled and potentially lost out on the race win, unless he gets past Owen incredibly quickly now.
Yeah, and now we're just gonna, whilst these guys go down toward turn 1, we'll see if anything happens here. 50.06 for Owen and Viking. A 49.8. That's actually the fastest lap of the entire race so far. Is 2/10 quicker than Owen on the prior lap. Dominic 4 seconds ahead of Asador, who's 10 seconds ahead of Higgsy, who's just about ahead of Claus, by the way. These two are going to go at it hammer and tongue for the rest of this race as well.
Yep, just a repeat of what I've been watching all season, Higgsy versus Claus. These two, over a single lap, are definitely the quickest in Tier 3. Both of them won a hell of a lot of races between them this season as well. And then Deco was always solid for scoring a podium. He did get a couple of wins himself, but mainly his consistency in that Lexus is what propelled him up to P2 in the championship. Yeah. But it's the guy who was in P3 who's currently heading the three of them. Obviously, the Porsche driver, just to throw it out there.
Yeah,
he got a double win in Autopolis in that Porsche. Insane.
Yeah, and he's also a second ahead, so that battle is now dead. D-Dubs is in 9th, so it's a really good day for him. Jeddah in 10th, and Perry is having a really, really, really bad day at the office in terms of showing up for Tier 2 here.
He's showing up for Tier 1 as well, because he's got promoted, but he's not in the top 10 here.
Couldn't have put much more of a worse day, and Viking finally has that second gap.
Yeah, he does. Owen's completely gone off the boil on this lap, and BX is smelling a position now. We are just approaching the chicane at the end of the lap, so BX will be wanting to get a really good launch out of the exit and just try and get this move done finally on Owen. Owen's not in slipstream for Viking anymore, so he's not got that advantage. BX potentially too far back. Owen seems to get a pretty decent exit there, so BX is going to be stuck behind until the back straight now, unless Owen starts making proper mistakes.
Yeah, this has just started to, well, at the end of the day, Viking lost something there. He lost half a second.
Big problem for Viking. He's, he definitely didn't take either turn 1 or 2 correctly, and now, all of a sudden, the outcome's completely changed again. It looked like a done deal for BX, but we've got 2 laps to go, and he's only 0.6 of a second ahead of Owen, who's only 0.6 of a second ahead of BX Royal.
One more big mistake is what's going to decide this. That's
yeah, and potentially the tyres. I think we need to do a quick tyre check for these 3, because
Owen's got worst.
Yeah, I don't know how, but Owen's definitely been sliding too much on these tyres and has taken a lot more life out in the Porsche, and you wouldn't expect that from the Porsche, to be honest. It should be pretty even with these 2 cars, so I think it's more down to Owen's driving, that should give BX a good opportunity, because he's got basically a lap's worth better tyres than Owen. We've got 2 laps to go. Owen might actually puncture here.
I'm not sure if it's going to wear that much in terms of the tyre in a singular lap. Bear in mind, this is the end of lap 37, so we have we have 1 lap left to go when basically some change, a couple of corners of chicane that splits us between the front 3 here in the lap 38. There's still a lot to play for. It's not over. It's a case of 1 mistake is enough to bring the entire castle of the House of Cards down right now.
Yep, and we already saw Viking make a mistake on the previous lap. Obviously, they'll be pushing pretty hard on these softs, but the softs won't be responding like they will have done 2 or 3 laps ago, because they are completely dead now, especially Owens. So they have to be really careful through these fast sections. Owen absolutely shooting through like a missile, closed within half a second of Viking as a result, but actually goes wide because he's pushing that hard, and that's going to take a lot of life out of the tyres. They look like they've got about 5-10% left maximum. BX Royal's going to go for a move into this chicane. Actually, he backs out of it at the last minute, but Viking now with a 1.6 second lead.
No, he doesn't. He just slams straight into the back of Owen's car there in the corner. He did not.
Yeah, and that's gifted Viking an unassailable lead at this point. He's got 3.4 second lead because BX has had to slow down there for Owen after hitting him because he knows that it was his fault. BX now swoops down the inside on the entry into this long straight here and gets the position done on Owen. Owen's going to have slipstream, but he's still losing time behind BX Royal, and that's because his tyres are absolutely gone. So I don't know if he's going to try a last minute dive bomb. He's way too far back to try it, and his tyres might not even get him round the corner.
That is unfortunate for Owen, because I don't know if his tyres would have died in terms of getting to the end with the spin, but the fact that they made him, BX made his tyres so hot, he never really stood a chance.
Yeah.
But
I think Owen came in a lap earlier than he wanted to, because he had more fuel than Viking.
Well, he knew he had...
Because Viking came in, I think he knew he had to respond, or else he'd lose too much time.
Exactly.
And as a result, he's killed his tyres on the final lap.
He didn't have a choice. He had to match these two. He had to give it everything he got. He gave it as much as he could have. But at the end of the day, the Tier 1 champion is just too hard to beat. And Viking is going to win over 38 laps here at Trail Mountain. What?
Yep. Manages to beat BX Royal into P2, and Owen's going to come home in P3, so it's a top 3 for Tier 1. Looks like Nominic's going to get P4. He's just ahead of Astor. Astor caught him up in the end, but nowhere near enough to get that position. They're just going into the final chicane now.
Oh, it's going to be close. It could exit.
It's going to be very
might
close.
be able to
Dominic's
get it.
tyres are completely dead. Astor came in later, and he's going to have a run, but... Yeah, he's losing time now. I think he actually hit the barrier at the end. So Dominic, best of the rest in P4, Asador P5. Solid result for the Tier 2 boys. And it looks like Higgsy, with his unusual strategy, is actually coming home in P6. Best of the Tier 3 drivers. Great result for Higgsy.
That's incredible. They came out together. He ended up beating Claus by 9 seconds.
Yeah, Claus has been in the wars somewhere. Or maybe it's just because he was on the medium tyres at the end. He did the wrong strategy.
No.
But yeah, man of the moment, I think Dido's beating all of the Tier 4 drivers and the Tier 5 drivers. He's coming home 8th, so top half of the drivers in the race of champions. Great result for Deco. D-Dubs. Deco down in 9th.
I just want to point out, Higgsy got the fastest lap.
What?
Higgsy outdid Viking's fastest lap. Are you taking the piss? He did a 49.5. His fastest
they were doing
lap
like
is
51s at the start of the race. What the hell?
His fastest lap is 3 whole tenths quicker than Vikings.
Now, that is one way to announce yourself to ALR. The fastest lap as a Tier 3 driver in the Race of Champions.
Wow, that is a guaranteed promotion. You screwed yourself now, Higgsy.
No, we know where he's going anyway.
Well, depending on who else signs up, we've still got 2 weeks left yet.
Oh no, we know he's not moving.
But
yeah, great result all around for all the drivers. That was some really good racing. Let's just go into the results screen quickly. So we had Asador in 5th, Higgsy in 6th, Claus was 7th, and 8th place was D-Dubs, like we said. And then Deco P9 in his Lexus, a little bit disappointing to finish outside the top. The first page. Jezza P10 after battling so hard. I think he can still be proud with that. Perry won't be proud with his performance in 11th. Then we have Spin. God knows what happened to him. He's a long way back in 12th, but he still beat his Tier 4 rival O'Leary. And then Munkin, unfortunately for him, our pole sitter finishes a lap down.
Yeah, it's a really, really bad day for him and for some of the Tier 4 drivers. Jezza put in a good show. D-Dubs is absolutely man of the moment, and also Higgsy as well for the fastest lap, which is absolutely insane. Bear in mind, there's only one other person in the entire grid that includes the 3 fastest drivers in the league this season. Absolutely. That has a 49. Never mind a 49 mid, just a 49.
Yeah, BX Royal only a 50.2. That's 7/10. BX Royal 7/10 slower than Higgsy.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Let that sink in. He'll tell you that he was stuck behind Owen and all this, but we know who the real alien is in this lobby.
Yeah, excuses. Full stop. At that point, 5. He's even 4 tenths ahead of Owen as well.
Yeah. So yeah, there you have it. The fastest car in the Race of Champions, the Jaguar F-Type. Insane car. One to pick for next season, maybe. Add it to your testing list. Obviously, if Viking can win so convincingly, it must be a fairly decent car. Because we know the Gen X is good. We know the Porsche is good. beating both of them quite handily in the end.
You're gonna end up making someone's gonna end up listening to this and picking the Jag because
It's not a bad car. It's not a bad car.
Yeah.
You know when people are driving a car, they're the only ones driving a car, and then there's an update, and then they say something about that car, and then everyone just believes it because no one's actually bothered to test it themselves. I think that's what we've got here. The Jag is not bad.
I think it's more the fact that the driver's the fastest driver in the league, but we'll completely disregard that sentiment for a minute.
Well,
but yeah,
I've got nothing to say to that.
but yeah, it's been a good day. It's a lot of close racing. The three at the top were basically showing why they're the three at the top of the league at the end of the day.
Absolutely, they picked through the field pretty easily. When every time we were looking at them at the start of the race, it was quite easy overtakes that they were getting done. And then yeah, even in the first quarter of the race, they were top three. And then strategies came into play, made it look like something different could happen, but it was never in any doubt. And then we're just together at the end as well.
Yeah, and
even Mate got a podium with the Jag. Well, yeah, exactly. It's a good car. Full stop. Case closed.
God almighty. But yeah, it's been a good day, and with that, a perfect sign off to the season as well. And I think,
yeah.
I think that's
Viking does a clean sweep. He's won the Esports League, he's won Tier 1, he's won Tier 1 Constructors, and now he's won the Racer Champions. So everything Viking has been in this season, he's succeeded in.
Yeah, and I think that's the best note to leave it on. So, without further ado, I think that's a nice way to wrap up Season 14. We'll see you guys for Season 15 in the beginning of September. In a bit.
Bye.